Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson, and this is Jectives Typography News number 55. Today is Friday, May 29th, 2026, and it's been 3 weeks since the last episode. But per usual, I have plenty of typography news to get into for you today. We have a new marketplace launched by Neue, fonts.xyz. The Designers Foundry launched their works in progress, WIPs, WIPs. They launched their betas page, beta program. I'm just now noticing there's a lot of echo in here, so I'm hoping that this audio is tolerable. Updates and upcoming. There are a Gotham variable released by Hoefler and Co. Off Type Foundry has teased a new typeface. Proof of Words added Italics to one of their typefaces. Pangram released an update to New Montreal. And PSTL, PS Type Lab, released a preview for Spent, which is going to be coming out in just a few days. We have new releases, so many new releases. There's going to be no deep dives today because we have so many new releases, so many stories to catch up on after 3 weeks of being gone. We have new releases from Rosebriar Type, Worthington, T1 Foundry, Pangram, Displaay, Fontwerk, Latinotype, Sudtipos, JTD Type, Commercial Type, Swell Type, Latinotype, Font Fabric, Caterina Santullo, and Type.today. That's not even all the releases. Of course, I always have to cut these down and report on what I think is the most important. But yeah, I've been gone for 3 weeks. We're going to get into this in just like 1 second, but I just wanted to say I have not been gone for because of laziness or lack of effort. I literally had to have my ISP lay fiber for me, get fiber to my apartment because it didn't exist. They told us it did before we moved here, and it did not. So it took 3 weeks to get that figured out. But now we're here. This is the new. This is the new Jectives headquarters. So I am glad to be back. Happy to have any of you watching here. And we're just going to get into it. This is going to be a little bit more casual than typical typography news because there is just so much going on, so much to catch up on. So next week will be a little more structured. But today there's so many stories that we just don't have time to like really dig deep on a lot. We're going to be doing a lot of stick and move, hit and run here. So let me go ahead and switch to my screen and we will get into this. So like I said, this deserves a full episode on its own. But Neue, N-A-N, launches fonts.xyz. This is the email announcement that they sent out. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit more. I am going to leave my face on the screen for this episode since we're not doing any deep dives. If I accidentally cover something up, I apologize. I'm going to try not to. But this is the email announcement, and it says fonts.xyz is our little internet village for type and featuring 27 independent foundries, 877 fonts, and growing. So we're not going to waste too much time on this preview. Let's go ahead and get right into it. But this is one thing to note right here. 7 new Neue type foundries. Also, for any foundries watching, please stop doing these GIFs like this. This is so annoying to see. This is so stupid, but this is so annoying to see these glyphs just like boom, or these GIFs boom, 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 boom. Like who is this for? These bother me so much, but everyone does it. I don't know if this is just the age of TikTok or why people need to do this, but it drives me crazy. This is the website. I think I've gone through it a little bit. I think there are some nice looking typefaces on it. I don't love the website though. I'm going to be honest. Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I am not the target market. I don't think my face is covering up too much. Let me go ahead and hide my face just for a second so you can see what's up here. A little login. I don't know what this is. Hopefully not an AI thing. Looks like it's changing. What did that do? Just do a random font maybe? I have no idea what that is. Oh, it's your favorites. So instead of a heart, I guess they're doing a lightning bolt. Okay. Like I said, this could go for a full episode on its own with 27 foundries, 888 fonts on here. But they're doing some interesting stuff in terms of the amount that they're paying the foundries and things like that. anytime I see these cookies, I always use my ad blocker and just block this stuff. I'm not going to agree to anything. I just block it. But I want to give you a real look at what this looks like, annoyances and all. But yeah, let's go ahead and scroll through this real quick. You can see some of these are, you can see some variable fonts right away. I'm not sure what this is, but that's pretty cool the way that's interpolating. It's kind of destroying it or something. We're going to look real quick, just look at some of the foundries and stuff, but I want to scroll through and just give you an idea of what this website looks like. We've got this little owl that pops up. There are a lot of memes and stuff on here. So they're definitely going for a certain audience here. Like I said, that's not probably me. I don't even know. It seems weird to me when companies do this. I know a lot of foundries do this on Instagram. Social media feels a little bit different than like your official marketplace. But here it is. You can see the theming. You can see it's a lot of cards, you know, like these little UI cards. But I did sign up for the email list. So we'll see what they send out. Let me go to the about page real quick. One thing I do like is this little hamburger icon. If you've ever studied design or any UI stuff, you have probably heard this referred to as a hamburger icon. When I told my mom to click the hamburger on an app one time, she had no clue what I was talking about, but that's what it is. I love that they made that an actual little hamburger, clearly playful. But let me go to the About Us page real quick, because this is where all of the memes are. Like I come here and I'm just like, I want to know who's behind this. I want to know what's going on. I'm trying to report the news. I want to learn. And it's just meme after meme after meme. So, this is the vibe that they're going with. So, it's definitely different. I mean, they're clearly differentiating themselves. One big thing right here, 80% off platform wide for the students. And it says you can use it as much as you want throughout your studies. So even though it says it's perpetual, I don't know if you can continue to use that afterwards. Not a lot, but a lot of the nice foundries that I've seen, they let you keep using it after being a student. You know, a lot of software doesn't let you do that. So it says built for creators. I think they're only taking 20%. Yeah, see 80% royalties for makers, industry busting. 80% royalty for the makers. And then I saw somewhere that they are doing kind of like a communal thing. I think that everybody gets paid a little bit, even as long as you're on the platform every time there's a sale. We'll see how sustainable this is. You know, I know FontSpring did they were doing a lot of cool stuff when they first launched. This was before Typography News, before Objectives. And people were very drawn to it. And then they slowly pulled all of that back away. So we'll see if the enshittification ensues or not on this one. I'm sure that a foundry launching a marketplace, they're going to be very idealistic. They're going to be doing things that they wish marketplaces were doing, and hopefully that they can be successful doing that. And you know, competition is always good. So there's the about page. Just wanted to give you like a gut check on this. Let's look at a few of the type foundries real quick. I might do like a full video on this, and I might try to get in touch with Nan and see if they want to have a conversation about this. My face will end up covering up some of this, but hopefully you can see what's going on here. About type, alias. We'll go ahead and read them all. There's only 27. Antonin Bertrand, Burrow Lab, Daria Cohen, Daytona Mess, Familiar Faces, Florian Runge, Fred's Fonts. Some of these are familiar. Some of these are new to me. Julia Boggio, Hadrian Herzog, Holden Type, JS Type. I would expect that we'll see these fill out, but we'll see. Cusel Studio, Leon Hughes. Maybe this was a bad idea to read all of these. Letters, Settle, Love Letters, Marula Type. I'm seeing a lot of foundries on here that we typically see on future fonts. I'm not going to actually read all of these. Nan, of course. But yeah, some familiar faces, some not. I'm going to have to add some of these to my database, to my Obsidian. Subscribe to some more newsletters, follow some more foundries on Instagram. But there you go, 27 independent foundries. I am going to dig into this deeper on my own. I'm not going to promise anything about future content on it, but I do think that it's not every day that a marketplace launches. So I do think that it could be valuable to look at that. Last thing we'll look at on here is just the font page. So like looking at the fonts, how does it look? How does it compare to other things? Right now, as I'm trying to scroll, the fonts keep loading in, so it feels a little janky, but I don't think I don't know that that's necessarily a problem. I want to be able to scroll on a page without it doing that though, but that's just me. I don't know that this page here is doing a whole lot. I like to see them in a list. So let's go ahead and see if I can get it into the list. A little bit of loading. Oh my goodness. I want to see them in an actual list. I want to be able to see multiple fonts at once, not a single font at one time. But this does let you see it nice and big. Maybe we can make the font smaller. I don't see anywhere to make it smaller. Okay, so they've got exclusive in progress. That's kind of interesting. Let's see if there's what betas are. So they've got some in progress ones. That's pretty cool. I do know there are 7 new releases that came with this, so I'd have to figure out what those are. But you see a lot of the typical stuff on here. Humanist, we've got your serif or not, intended use. That's nice. Widths, X height, contrast, features, and details. So I don't know. Let's just try and find something similar to Helvetica, right? That's like the easiest thing to do. So we'll go Grotesque. Oh no, we'll go Grotesque. Obviously no serifs. Should we do display? Well, let's do text and display and see if we can get something. Nothing matches both of them. So there we go. This is for display. I guess we'd be doing a Helvetica bold. So there's your one possible option. Maybe editorial. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a Helvetica replacement on here, just based off of the fact that clicking Neo Grotesque gives you, there's one right there, teaser family by teaser. Okay, so we managed to stumble through that and find an alternative for the most popular font to ever exist. It probably isn't. Times New Roman is probably the most popular. Okay, yeah, so that works well. The pricing seems reasonable. If you're a student, it's going to be even crazier, more affordable. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Like I said, I could foresee doing future content on this because there is so much to dive into with a new marketplace. But the links are in the description. The links are in the description for everything. Like every episode, they are not sponsored and never will be on the news. So similarly, the Designers Foundry launched Works in Progress. Let me get a drink of water real quick. So this is the interface for it. And I did talk to Daniel McQueen, the founder of the Designers Foundry, and he told me there is even more fun stuff to come because I emailed him immediately when this came up. Sorry, I got water on my glasses. I emailed him immediately when I got this announcement because this is so much fun. It's like an old school Mac, and you can move around the windows. We've seen similar stuff like this on, other websites and things like that, but it's pretty cool. And he did mention to me there are going to be some games and some other stuff added to it. So just kind of a cool interface to look at these. It definitely gets your attention, keeps you on the page for a little bit longer. But I don't know what this test discount is. It says codes to test before launch, live, laugh, love, whip. I don't know. I think you'd have to go through the cart to actually put those in. But let me go ahead and give you a preview of some of these works in progress right here. I am going to do some special coverage on this. I'm planning to, at least. I reached out to Daniel, requested review licenses for these 4 typefaces, and he was kind enough to oblige. But you can see, even when you open these up, they open up in kind of this browser window. Let me just go ahead and show you these right here, though. So TDF Sans, that's pretty cool. They're doing, kind of a default type Designers Foundry sans serif. Noxy looks like a high contrast. One-Dest, kind of, pretty calligraphic there. We've seen a lot of popular serifs, editorial serifs. I think a lot of them are being called, look similar to this. And then Caltrop Display. This one looks the craziest. But I don't want to dive too deep into these. The last thing I want to point out on here, though, is this fun ASCII art generator. The one thing that would be nice is if you could make this these little windows a little bit bigger. But I don't know if this is something they've just ported from somewhere else, but it's got all of these different ASCII art things on here. And you can type what you want and it'll come up. Subscribe. We'll just put our default on here. But there's some fun things on here, and you can copy it and then paste it into, into a message board from 2001. But yeah, there's some fun stuff on here, and some of these actually remind me of some typefaces that have been released recently with these isometric fonts and stuff like that. It reminds me of Nabla. Was it called Nabla? Nablar? I don't, yeah, okay. Doesn't really matter that much. This is the Designers Foundry works in progress. They finally launched their betas. They've been planning on doing this for a while. We've seen a lot of foundries do this. I think Future Fonts, much like Netflix, kind of pushed, a lot of the studios to put out their own streaming platforms. I think Future Fonts really pushed a lot of foundries to put out their betas. And we're seeing another one here from the Designers Foundry. So I'm excited to dive into these four. Look forward to that in the future. Let me check chat. Okay, we're good. Let's get into some updates and upcoming typefaces. We're going to go through these a little bit faster than these first two stories because we don't have all day for this. I did link this in the description, but I forgot to put it in my notes. So here it is right here. So this is Monotype celebrates 25 years of Gotham with the launch of Gotham Variable. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this. This is going to be your typical press release from Monotype, but it is linked in the description because I want to give you the source. Key features this has, it says continuous control across weights with a single font file. That's great because I have not tested this out, but Gotham has expanded so much in the last 25 years. It's truly a monster of a typeface now, and I don't know that they crammed everything into one variable font, but it does look like they have 54 new intermediate styles, so they've added even more to it. They expanded the language support. This says new weights and a new compact width. Interesting. Improved performance. That's always nice to see, so they must have optimized it somewhat. Seamless adaptability. Yeah, that's going to be any variable font. So there's not a lot on this page right here, but it is the official announcement. What's more interesting, if it plays, we'll see. There it is. Is this a video? It doesn't look like it's playing a little bit. You can see the variable going a little bit right there on the screen, right? So this is where I saw it first. It was on Instagram. Probably many of you already saw this, but it's still pretty cool. Do people actually use variable fonts? I don't know. I report the news, so I'm a typography journalist. I love to see these. I love to play around with them. I love to see how smooth or how bad the interpolation is. So I have a lot of fun playing around with these, but I don't know, some, how would you say this? Some studies and surveys and stuff have shown that people aren't really using variable fonts as much as it would be expected that they would be using them. I love variable fonts though. I love the idea that you can just have everything crammed into one. But when you do that, like say this one has 54 plus styles on it, fonts that have like 100 instances, you pull that drop down and oh my goodness, you're in trouble. So you really do have to play around with the sliders a little bit more. But a lot of times with variable fonts, you still get the static version, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, Gotham Variable, nice to see it. It's one of those quality of life improvements, nice to have. I did see some people, I don't know, mentioning that Tobias Fear-Jones was kind of being written out of the story. I didn't see that. He's listed in the official thing right here. Right here, they did put him second, but that's what they're going to do when they purchased Hoefler & Co. So if you don't know, Monotype does own Gotham. They own Hoefler & Co., which was previously Hoefler Fear-Jones, and messy split, lawsuit. Now Monotype purchased them and they own Gotham. So they can do what they want with it, even though, so they can kind of cut Tobias Fear-Jones out of that. Obviously, he had nothing to do with this variable version of it, but I'm not sure that necessarily matters too much at this point. Next up, we have a typeface. Oops. We have a typeface from Off Type. Off Type, if you don't know, is the sister foundry to Pangram, where they release kind of some of their weird typefaces. We looked at Sector recently, so that gives you an idea of what we're talking about. They teased this right here, and this is all they teased. It's a new typeface called OT Spaceship, and man, does it look weird. This looks like something out of the 90s. This looks like lettering. This looks like a wacky display typeface that your teacher would tell you not to use in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. But I'm interested to see what this looks like, because they do put out some really quality display typefaces that are very, very different from Pangram's usual releases, which we're going to look at 2 today. So keep that in mind, and you can definitely compare these. So quick story here with OT Spaceship. This is all they teased. This was in the email announcement. I pulled up their Instagram just to see if it had been mentioned anywhere in here yet. It's not, so that's all we've got for now. Next up is a story from Proof of Words. Let me go and pull this one up. So Proof of Words has this typeface called Garnier. This was released, oh gosh, I forget when this was released. It looks like 2024. So December 2024, this originally released, did not have italics. So this was kind of positioned as a workhorse typeface, but it didn't have italics. Now it really does position itself much better. They expanded, this has 899 glyphs for the Roman, but the italic actually has 1,179 glyphs, 39 open type features, 337 languages supported with this, and you can see some of the open type features and stuff right here. I don't know what deep dives we're going to be doing next week, but this is definitely one that could be on that list. One of the things that they mentioned was the forked serifs, and I have the, this is the license, this is the trial license. It is full. We're not going to be hopping too much into Affinity today, but I wanted to show you these forked serifs because this is a term that I'd never heard before. And I was like, what could a forked serif be? Like, my initial thought was like a Tuscan serif. Like, imagine where these two serifs kind of split. But that's not what it was. It's this. I don't know, the E and the F here show it off really well. I don't know that I've ever seen this before, at least not in like a workhorse typeface like this. And this becomes really interesting to me now, because, you know, a typeface getting italics, there'd be no reason to do a deep dive just on that. But looking at how unique this typeface is in general, it's kind of shocking to me that I'd never really paid attention to this, but the italics look great. There's Garnier right there in all of its italic glory. I don't think that this one is variable, no. So this one is static, but let's go ahead and look at the bold here real quick. It looks really nice. And then they do keep those forked serifs in the uppercase, so you can still see them here in the E, the F, the G. But there's nothing going on in the lowercase. I think that they did have some. Oh no, they didn't have anything in the lowercase down up here either. So, just in the Z, but this Z down here, I'm pretty sure is going to have the swash. Yeah, it's got the ball serifs on it. Ball terminals, I apologize. Yeah, so let's go back to the web page. I don't want to spend too much time in Affinity, but you can see this has a lot of glyphs to it, a lot of interesting ligatures and stuff. We've got these little ghost characters. If I can find out how to highlight these, it covers your cursor when you're trying to scroll over it, so it doesn't make it easy. But I love to see these little hidden things inside of typeface. The first thing I do when I open it up in Affinity is I go over here to the glyph browser and I scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I check to see what weird stuff is going on. Looks like it has a lot of swashes for uppercase and lowercase, but it does have these ghosts in here as well. Let me just get the ghost real quick. We got to look at the ghosts. We're going to move on really fast. We can't spend this much time on all of these, but they have italic ghosts. Do they slant a little bit? Let's see. Maybe they don't. Regular, italic. No, they don't slant. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so that's enough of that. This was the expansion of Garnier. It now has italics. This was Proof of Words, Garnier. Italics update. Very nice. Next up is another update. This one here is from Pangram. This is New Montreal. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I am mainly interested in showing you this mini site. And I know my face is going to cover up a little bit, but I love a good mini site. I love good specimens. And Pangram generally does knock it out of the park. Grilly Type and Pangram, I think, are neck and neck for putting out typefaces. You can see the typeface is getting lighter as I scroll down. I don't have my hands on, it's just auto scrolling right now. But they're really pulling in the Expo 60, was it Expo 68? No, Expo 67 from Montreal, where Universe was used, and that's the inspiration for this. So they've expanded this. It's got more weights, a text version, which is important, and Greek and Vietnamese language support. But I mainly wanted to show you this to show you the website because, you know, who doesn't want to look at some beautiful type? The most impressive thing about this website, though, is this right here. It's all live text. So we go on some of these web pages, and you know, it's images. These right here, those are rolling. Those are not. But if we come up here and we look at all of this stuff, this is all live. This right here that's showing up and disappearing, it's all live. This is all live. As you scroll down, it changes sizes, but it's still live. It's very impressive. So that is New Montreal version 3.0 just released. So not a new typeface. Let me scroll down to the bottom. They got a timeline for us down here at the bottom. Not a new typeface. I believe this actually released about 10 years ago. But now it has the text version. Maybe I'm not going to be able to find it. Do they have story? Well, it's not that important. We're on version 3. That's all we need to know. Let's go ahead and move on because we have too much to get through, and I will linger and admire all these typefaces all night long, given the chance. Next up, we have a preview. So this one is not released yet, but it should be released on Monday, I think. Let me see. On the 1st, yeah. So this one should release on the 1st. This is Spent from PS Type Lab, and they put out a newsletter about this one. It has 56 static styles or 2 variable fonts. It says Spent is a new family built for the long haul. Don't know what that means, but it is. It looks like a compressed typeface, but maybe, let's see, compressed black. Oh, it goes all the way up to, no, it's got regular too. So you can go compressed, compact, and regular weights, standard weights as well, or standard widths. I apologize, standard widths, and we could do some cool stuff here. The R and the K there is pretty interesting. Like I said, this one's not out yet, so I don't have any way to like look at this any closer than what we're doing right now, but we can see some alternates here in the G and the H. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Like this is an image, nothing wrong with that, but this is an image, so there's no live text, nothing we can highlight or anything. So that's why I find web pages that do have live text so impressive. We're just going to be covering up a couple letters there. I apologize. But you can see there's some alternates for the G, kind of a slanted beard on the G. And you've got these, you know, very curved K and R as well. A lot of the other stuff looks pretty normal. It does look like they have very vertical insides on the O's in these counters, the O, the C, the D. So that's kind of interesting. I think they were showing it off on Instagram a little bit more. Yeah, with these variable sizes and stuff. And it was doing some interesting stuff, but you'll be able to check this out on Monday. This is linked in the description. You can see it changing sizes and stuff right here. It does seem pretty versatile. You know, you've got 3 different widths. You've got the italic, you've got the Roman. Does this have lowercase? Yeah, it has lowercase. For a second, because all of this was, there's lowercase right here. Yeah, it looks nice. Let's just see. Okay. Not much difference between the 1 and the L, or between the L and the I. That's the L, this is the I. They look identical to me, but I think the I is probably a little bit heavier. But with a typeface like this, that's probably to be expected. And there might even be some, alternatives and stuff to help you out with that. So looks interesting. Can't say much more about it, but it looks like it's going to be pretty bold and pretty how would you say, pretty good for display and getting attention and stuff like that. And it seems like it's pretty, man, I can't, my brain's not working. I apologize. But it does say that it's drawn from the memory of American Gothic. So that makes sense. A lot of that advertising, typefaces and stuff like that. Let's move on because we are just now getting into new releases, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have like 15 new releases to get into. We're going to have to burn through these as fast as possible because it's almost 8 o'clock here. I don't have a time, I don't have a time limit today, but I don't want to spend too long doing this because I know some people don't like to watch super long videos. Some of you do. So, I'm going to let this one load in the background. Doesn't look like it's wanting to open up. We'll go ahead and skip to the second one. This first one, which should have been the second one, is Rosebriar from Laura Worthington Design. And this looks really neat. The thing that drew me to this initially was this specimen right here. I think that this just, Rosebriar, I don't know, great name. First of all, love the color palette, love the simplicity here, but look at these really, really cupped serifs. The curving leg on the R. This is a really fun typeface. We're not getting too much of a look at it here. We got some more specimens right here, though. Let me go ahead and click through these to give us the best look at this we can. But it looks really fun. I did notice that there are versions with these little, oh shoot, I can't think what these things are called now. These little triangles, I apologize. These little triangles that are going through the letters, I think you can turn those on and off. But it looks pretty neat. Let's see if we could figure out what the inspiration is on this one. Does it tell us? It says, Rosebriar is a decorative display typeface with clear personality, ornamentally, slightly nostalgic, and full of character without locking you into a single look. Its Roman structure carries Gothic ornamental details selectively. Wedge cross strokes. Okay, so wedge cross strokes is what she's calling them. Splayed terminals. Love that. Diamond-shaped tittles give it a crafted foliate quality that can read as medieval, storybook, or simply something distinct. I agree. Designed primarily for titling, it carries enough flexibility for subheads, callouts, and short passages, bringing personality to the page while staying practical. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, in terms of short passages, if you were using this for like a children's book or something, you could get away with writing a few lines in this and it would feel, kind of whimsical. So very nice. Quick look at that one. Not sure on the trials, but it says, let's go ahead and look at the price here real quick for us. So it's a single style for $15. Really? Yeah, that's pretty great. $15 for this. Let me check the details on this. Do we get any notes or anything? How many glyphs there are? I mean, it's got some stuff. There's the stylistic alternatives that I was talking about. So you can see these here with the wedges. Let's see the wedged A there. If we come back up to the top here, you can see, wait, what? How is this different from this? I thought they had wedges or not. Oh, this has a wedge on the right side. Okay, so you see the wedge on the right side there. So yeah, there's some alternatives for these where you can get the wedge on both sides or just one side, I guess. It looks like a fun typeface though, and it looks incredibly affordable at $15. So that is Rosebriar from Laura Worthington Fonts. You can buy this from the Foundry, or as you see up here, you can get this on the Typographer app. The Typographer app only works on Mac right now, and it's from the Type Founders. Sproviero doesn't look like it wants to work, so I apologize. We might not be looking at that one today, but that's fine because we have so many typefaces to get through that you're not gonna, you're not gonna be at a lack of new typefaces to look at. So this is T1 Foundry, which I didn't actually even know that existed because it is Type 1's Type Foundry, but I previously thought their Type Foundry, and I was correct, was Alt TF. So Type 1 has Type 1 magazine, they have Type Department, they have Alt.tf as a foundry, and then they have T1 Foundry, which I was previously unfamiliar with, but they have T1 Harcher, and this is a pretty neat looking typeface. I don't think that these specimens are doing it any favors though. There's a lot going on, which is great for, getting someone's initial attention, but it is kind of hard to kind of like actually look at the typefaces when there's this much overprinting. You got 3 different overprints right here: the yellow, the gold, the tan, and the blue. So I don't think that on this page alone you're really getting a good look at the fonts because there's so much distracting it. But I did download the trial of this. Let me double check. It does have a full trial on it, and I did download it just to play around with it. To see if I was going to cover it or not for a deep dive or anything, like we're not doing those today, but look how nice this looks when you can actually just look at the typeface by itself. The heavyweights particularly are doing some really cool stuff. So the thin is neat. I sometimes don't like these really thin ones with the wedge serifs because they feel like thorns, like it's going to prick your finger. But I appreciate the ball terminals on here, even though it's very light on this one. The interesting thing with this one is that you can turn them into spiky terminals, which matches more. But I feel like this typeface, while this looks nice, it almost looks kind of like Christmassy at this really light, this thin weight here. It goes from thin all the way up to black, and I think that this is where it really shines. The regular weight right here, this looks nice. I think you could put this in some body copy. That arm on the K is really thin though. It looks nice, but I think that this black weight, are they calling it black? This black weight right here looks really, really nice. I typically always buy the full family, but I could see someone only buying the black weight on this because it's that nice, and then just pairing it with another font altogether. But I think this one's pretty affordable for the family, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But you can turn on these spiky serifs, and they are much more obvious in these heavyweights right here. So yeah, pretty cool. Not going to do like a deep dive on this, but I did want to just point out, compare that to this right here, and this is like someone screaming in my ear. Maybe that's just me, but look at this discount on here, $47 US down from 470. Obviously, they could do the JC Penney's thing where they just mark stuff up to mark it down, but regardless, $47 on desktop for the full family, plus a variable typeface. Ooh, is this one variable? Mine's not variable. Mine's just static weights. But I think $47 for this is incredible. Let me see. I didn't put it in Wacom Fondue. I apologize. So I don't have any I don't have any numbers for you. But I think this looks great. Obviously, I would love it if it had italics. Maybe that's something that can come in the future. Because I think that those ball terminals on here with the italics could look really, really, really nice. Okay, so that is Harcher, T1 Harcher from T1 Foundry, which is owned by Type 1. I don't know if this is a sale price or if that's the all the time price. Could be a launch window price. So if you do want it, go ahead and pick that up now. That is T1 Harcher from T1 Foundry. Let me go ahead and keep going through these. Next up, we have another Pangram release. Let me check off some of these in my Obsidian so I don't get lost. This is PP Palma. And typically when I spill water on my glasses as I'm doing this, I don't have my face on the screen, so I don't have to let you guys see that. But you can see me on there today. PP Palma, this one they teased about a week before it released. It does have a full trial, so you can download this and test it out. Up here it says PP Palma. Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Can't really zoom in on it too much. Don't want to break it too much. Let's zoom in a little bit though. Palma is loosely inspired by the giants like Antique Olive, Johnston, and Avenir. These are 3 very different typefaces. But treats references lightheartedly, going for a different route with a flair. That's kind of a jumble. Once you hear Antique Olive, though, you can definitely see that shining through there. I didn't initially pick that up because the specimens that they were kind of showing off on Instagram and stuff didn't scream Antique Olive to me, but as soon as you hear that, you can see some of where the weight is sitting, some of the contrast and stuff like that. But Then you look at the word old fashioned and you're like, yeah, I can see a little bit of Avenir in there. You look at Virgin Mary, you can see a little bit of Avenir. It's pretty interesting. This right here, I did download this, but I don't have it to show you right now. 90% sure. No, I don't have it to show you in Affinity. But see if we can zoom in on this a little bit more. Nope, we can't. We can zoom in this much before it breaks. Let me pause this for you. There are 3 different variable sliders here. We've got weight, italic, and zest, which is the first for me. I've never seen a zest variable slider. The weight does exactly what we expect, and look how smooth that is. That is incredibly smooth interpolation. This is live text. I don't know. I'm always impressed when it's this smooth, especially in a browser. I know web fonts are great, but just to make that work so smoothly is very impressive. This is the italic slider. I still don't know, other than UI stuff, I'm not sure what we're using an italic slider for, but for me, italics are either on or off. But here's the zest slider. I think this is the most interesting. Let's get this to like a 500, get it to like a regular weight. There we go. The zest can turn it into a little bit more of a display is what I'm seeing from this. So as we go the zest to the left, it goes down to 10, it goes up to 100. At 10, you can see the spacing increase. Between the words, you can see the counter spacing open up a little bit or open up at the smaller zest. So watch that C on the left there where it says collection. We're gonna increase the zest and we're closing that counter a little bit. Obviously, the spacing between letters decreases as well as you make the typeface bigger for display purposes. You would want those spaces to decrease. So this is a really nice slider, even though it is oddly named. Typically this would be like your optical size, but maybe that's not what it is. And I'm just, not getting it. But you can see the O's actually get a little bit wider. The O, the E, the C, they're a little more condensed at the lower zest. So there's a little bit more going on here than just optical sizing, but my brain just says optical size because of the fact that the spacing gets bigger at the small end and smaller at the big end. Hopefully that makes sense. But you can see it looks really nice in these specimens, and it does kind of feel like a mix between those 3 typefaces. And they're so different that it doesn't really feel like any one of them in particular. Love the specimens. Like I said at the top of the show, Pangram always puts out great specimens. So it's always worth looking at these. 2 subfamilies, 14 styles each. That's going to get you 28 total styles. Almost unplugged my microphone. And it looks like 501 glyphs. It also looks like this says that it released in March. So maybe I completely missed this one. I don't think that it did, though. I think this just released in May. It released between episodes. So maybe it was supposed to release in March. Let's go ahead and click on Fizzy and click on the other, and we'll see if we can tell a difference. This is supposed to be the Fizzy one, and this is supposed to be the plain one. Maybe that part right there is still the same on both of them. I don't know that I see a difference. We've got regular right there. We've got Fizzy right here. Okay, so that's the zest slider. That's the zest slider. Let's move on. This was PP Palma from Pangram. Next up, we have one from Displaay. This one's called Coolkit. This one is supposed to be inspired by like candy, bubblegum. I think it was Hubba Bubba and Dum Dums, or not Dum Dums, whatever those other suckers are. But you can see it right here. When I first saw this, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And maybe I still don't know how I feel about it. I think that their specimens on Instagram and stuff do it many more favors than this does. The thing that I was impressed with were these alternates and stuff. I was playing around with this in Affinity, but we can do them right here as well. You can see there are quite a few alternates on this. But let's go ahead and hop over to their Instagram, because I think their specimens there do a much better job of kind of showing how they see this being used. So that's fine. Let's go ahead and go to their regular page. I think these ones that we're doing with the outlines make it look the best. Ugh, these don't. Sorry, Display. Maybe this one's just not for me. But this right here with the inlines and the outlines and stuff, I think that looks really cool. I thought, my initial thought was, oh, cool, there's 9 different weights, there's variable axis. I thought what you'd be able to do with this is layer them like we've looked at with other typefaces. There's some cool stuff on here that I was playing around with this. There's some smileys, there's some alternate arrows, there's all kinds of alternate parentheses and stuff. You can get the full trial for this one. So link is in the description. Go check that out, and you can play around with this yourself if you are even remotely interested. But the top one there, I'm trying to get this on the screen with my face at the same time. The top one here is the layered version, and the bottom one is just adding a stroke to it. So if you're in Affinity, you can add strokes in the front or the back. So if you get something that looks like this with your strokes in the front, just put them in the back. Boom. But I was trying to get this pretty close to, so the top one here is regular, the back one is going to be the heavy. I was trying to get these pretty close to see how it would look with just a stroke added, because when you layer them, you don't get an even width of stroke around the tittle, the dot on the eye. So if we make this all the way big like this, everything fits, but as we go down, the stroke is changing at a different rate around that dot of the eye. So you can see really clearly here, the top of the T versus the top of the dot on the eye. Those strokes are completely different. I think that really breaks being able to layer these, which would be a really nice thing. But you know, every design app, even you know HTML, CSS, everything can add a stroke, so that's not a big problem. And I think that the stroke here is what they have done on the specimens and stuff like that. That said, it would be a lot easier just to be able to do this and change that size inside there, because now I have to go over here, I have to change this, and then I have to change the stroke on top of it. It's not as, you know, there's pros and cons to both, but it would be nice if that dot on the eye, the stroke, how do you say this? If the weights changed at like the same pace, if this dot on the eye matched everything else, because then you could really layer these in cool ways to where you didn't have to add strokes and you could play around with this variable inside of it much easier. So that's my one little nitpick, but it does have a lot of cool features and stuff that we're not going to be able to look at today. But it's doing a lot more than you would think at first glance. And I think that, man, I think for the right project, this could be really, really cool. Obviously, you're not going to use this for almost any project, but that one project that works on well is going to be great. So that was Coolkit from Displaay. Next up, we've got one from Fontwerk. I apologize, Fontwerk. I've linked 2 links for this one in the description. One is the article, and that's this one right here that I'm just going to scroll through real quick for you. This gives some of the backstory and stuff like that. Sukoon, I think I said it wrong the first time. Sukoon is means tranquil and calm, and I think that the color palette here is really doing that. I'm going to go ahead and play this video for a second while I get a drink of water. Boom. And you can see there is obviously more than Latin here. That looks like Indic to me, but it could be something else. Let's see what this says. Arabic type design. Oh, Arabic. I apologize. Arabic. Yeah, that makes way more sense. But let's go ahead and look at the regular website, the store page. And you can see the Latin right here. It looks pretty neat. I am not going to be one to be able to judge this because I don't know Cyrillic, I don't know Arabic, I don't, other than Arabic numbers. I'm not going to be one that's going to be able to give you like a good opinion on this, but in terms of Latin, it looks really nice. It's got Greek, it's got Cyrillic, and it's got Arabic. This could really be a solid workhorse typeface for someone that doesn't need italics, because I don't think this has italics yet anyway. But it looks like a nice typeface, and it's nice to see typefaces with a lot of language support and a lot of language system support. So it's not, I'm not going to say that it's easy to go from Latin to Cyrillic or Greek, but it's a lot easier to go from those than it is to go to Arabic or Indic or some of these completely other different writing systems. So it's pretty cool that they've managed to do that. This is by Janone for Fontwerk. And yeah, so yeah, we got to keep moving, but I do want to give this a shout out. It looks really neat. This is Sukoon. And if you need that language support, there's not a lot of typefaces that are going to be doing it to the same degree. You know, there's some big ones, but this is a new release that I think is doing a good job with it. Next one here is from Latinotype, and I've also got Sophia Moore's page here because she is the designer for this. I've linked both these in the description. Go check out whichever one makes sense for you. I think that Sophia's page is doing a little bit more in terms of specimens and stuff. Let me check out hers. Looks like they're the same, but hers is easily to scroll. If you're making a web page and you have the option between making things that someone can scroll through or something that someone has to go this horizontal stuff through, always make it scrolling. I know that in your brain it feels nicer to make that thing up at the top, that whatever those banners are called, but it's just way nicer to scroll. So this is Marcante, hopefully I'm saying it Marcante right, from Latinotype, designed by Sophia Moore. This is clearly doing some high contrast stuff, but doing it in a very interesting way. You can see the strokes are not following typical calligraphic standards. And you can see there's some very thin strokes in the middle of the M here and very heavy ones on the outside. Same with the N, same with the crossbars on the A, E, F. Let's see if we can get a full, there we go. Here's some more right here. So it's not going to be the most, legible in the traditional sense, because people are used to seeing letters written in a certain way. They're used to seeing that contrast in a certain way. But I think where it makes up for it is in the fact that it will grab your attention a little bit more. So if you wanted someone to stop and actually read the text and have to spend a little bit more effort to read it, and you think that they actually will, because there's the trade-off, right? If it's too hard to read, they might just not read it at all. If it's slightly difficult to read, they might spend a little bit more time reading it. I don't know if that's what you want them to do, but maybe it is sometimes. And I think you could achieve that with this one because it's not difficult to read, but it's definitely different to read because those contrasts are just in different places that are completely unexpected. Especially with the M, the N, and the W, they get really light, especially compared to these really heavy ones up here. So you can see the M's there. Let's see if Latinotype, if we can test this out. It is variable, so that's pretty neat. But you can see on this one right here, can we make this font bigger? Yeah, let's make it as big as possible. So you can see this M right here. Can we zoom in even more? Look how much that M kind of disappears there. And we're looking at it at like a pretty big size right now. Let's take this down to like a regular size. Shrink this down. Can you read that there? I don't know that you'd be using, it's probably unfair to be using that heavy of a weight. But look at the medium. This is the medium that I've just highlighted here. Can you read that one? So I do think you're going to have a problem not using this at display sizes. I don't think that they're implying that it should be used at non-display sizes, but even at some of the smaller sizes on these little cards and stuff like that, you could get into trouble. This is definitely a display typeface. I would never, ever, ever print this on a perfume bottle. That's going to be so small. And I know in this picture right here, it looks big, it looks nice, but like those little lines, they're not even going to print. They're going to disappear. So don't do that. Don't do it that small. That's probably only a few millimeters. But it looks nice as a display typeface. And I think that unexpected use of contrast really could do a good job of grabbing someone's attention. So this one here, I think that works. No, that's like an eyedropper bottle. So it looks big right now, right? But that's an eyedropper. Boop. So that Moist and Care Hail. It looks like Hales, but it's a nail serum. Yeah, so even on these, it's falling apart. So don't use it small, but I think that it could be good at grabbing some attention with that unexpected contrast. This was Marcante from Latinotype and Sophia Moore. Next up, we have a typeface from Sudtipos. And I'm actually going to bring up their Behance because I have complained several times whenever I've pulled up Sudtipos because their website just doesn't really show you much of anything. You know, it shows you the basics, but it's pretty boring. Sometimes boring is good. This isn't that bad. You know, you can really look at what the typeface is doing. But just in terms of marketing, I think that this is doing a much better job. And this is their Behance page. So this is Queenie from Sudtipos. And they've got some really nice playful specimens on here that really speak, even just looking at this one single specimen right here, compare that to this, you're getting a real different vibe. This really feels like the font to me. And sometimes you need to show that to people to get their attention and get them to consider the typeface for the use case it's intended for. Queenie looks really cool. It says a groovy type family inspired by psychedelic lettering. Yeah, that shines through. That immediately rings true for me. It looks like it's got 3, 6, 9 weights to it, thin all the way up to heavy. It looks pretty cool. Ooh, that glyph right there. I bet that's a glyph that's included in it for sure. Probably all these right here are the ampersands. Looks like it had an alternate ampersand there. Don't want to cover up the asterisks. But it looks really cool, and these specimens are really, really fun, and I think they're doing a great job with these. So congratulations on this one. Looks like 563 glyphs. It's got some, how big can we make this? It's got some thumbs up, thumbs down. You gotta have a peace sign. Do they have the peace sign? Yeah, there they are. We saw that in the beginning. Peace signs, 3 different peace signs on there. They're doing some fun stuff with this one. Sudtipos. It only has 1 weight, I think. Oh, no. 9 weights. I'm thinking of something else. It says only 40 languages. I would like to take this and drop it into Hyperglot and see if that number's not bigger, because I kind of would expect it to be bigger than that. Even if it only has basic Latin, I would think that it's probably bigger than that, but maybe not. That's something they can always increase later. But look at these posters. This is great. These are great, great specimens. It really does set the vibe for it, and it just feels so much better than this. Sudtipos, make these your regular web pages. I know every one of your fonts looks the same on here. If you can do this, and we can go to Heartline, and it's going to look exactly the same when we get to that. We can scroll through all the different ones, but these are so much more appealing. This looks so much cooler. This is going to get more sales. The alternate ampersands, great use of negative space inside of this alternate ampersand there. I really like that. Yeah. There's no way that I would spend this much time on that black and white page, but I love these specimens right here. Great job. Give it a thumbs up on there. So that was, oops, it went to Heartline. See, they all look the same. I get it. That's nice for consistency, but I think that it's so much more fun to look at these. So that is Queenie from Sudtipos. Next up, we have a typeface from JTD Type. Got the newsletter on here. I'm not sure we necessarily need this one. Oh, I know why we're going to look at that one. Okay, we're going to come back to this newsletter real quick in a second, but this is, I think I'm saying this right. This is Enfilade from JTD Type. It is, it's doing something really interesting. It's got optical sizes, but it's very specific in what it's doing with its optical sizes. So it's increasing each one by 2x. This is something that I've heard from, I forget which pentagram partner, but this is something I've heard from one of the pentagram partners before. Anytime they're doing the scale for their typography, they're always doing 2x. So let's say the text weight or the text size is 16, you're going to be putting it online. The next size up from that is going to be 32, 64, 128. You're just going to go up from there. And that's what this web page does when we get to some of these scales on here. So like this right here, the smallest one, you can see it says 1x. Initially, I was like, what does the x, like what is the x? But if you go through this, that's going to give you, it says 17, but I'm assuming it should be 16. So if you went from 16 up to 32, this goes all the way up to 256. Now let me go back to the top and kind of hopefully make this make sense. There are how many different, 5 different ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so top to bottom, we can see there are 5 different optical sizes. Left to right, we can see that there are 6 different weights on this, going from hairline up to black. It's specifically designed to scale at 2x for each one of these. So it's doing the optical sizing for you. I think The downside of just saying like, okay, each one is 2 times bigger is that you don't necessarily know where to start at. I think it would almost work better if they just said like 16, 32, 64. I know that that kind of makes people feel locked into a certain size. But the 2x thing is pretty ambiguous. What if you're starting out at 128? Do you use the smallest size still? Let me pull up these newsletter pictures though real quick. Open, I apologize, open image in a new tab and open image in a new tab. Because I do think that this is a great demonstration of what actually is happening here. And let me zoom in on this just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. So if we look at the right side and we look at the left side is utilizing all these different optical sizes, all of these different 2x things. The right side is only using one of those optical sizes, but increasing the point size for, you know, to set everything up. And you can see immediately how this breaks down. I don't know how fair of a comparison this is. Yes, it's great. It makes sense. But I do think that it's like intentionally making it look bad to show you how good it looks with the optical sizes. But at the same time, I'm sure there are people that that make the mistake of making it look like there are people that use one optical size incorrectly and do what we're looking at on the right. So I do think that in some world, maybe this makes sense. But in reality, I don't think anyone watching this right now would make the mistake of what we're looking at on the right. But it does show the power of using optical sizes, or at least using appropriate fonts. So I think this one could be a fun one to play out, to test out. It does have a full trial. So you can go get this. Link is in the description. Once again, not sponsored, never will be on the news. But it's doing something kind of interesting with the optical sizing, and specifically setting 5 different optical sizes that are purposely built to like 2x each one. So if you wanted kind of like a dummy proof type scale, that you're okay being locked into, these are going to look great at 2x each other. I think that could be a good use of kind of like a minimalist, layout, like something like this. Like a menu is a perfect example, but something where you need like a very clear hierarchy. You could basically do H1 through H5 with this. Header 1 through header 5 with this, or like header 1 through header 4, and then body copy, I guess. But yeah, I think it's a nice system set up very purposefully. I would be interested to test this out and see how well it works in reality, and how fair this comparison is. I would like to compare them and set them up kind of using all one optical size as well, and see if it actually does look the same as this. But in general, it's a neat looking typeface. This is Enfilade. Hope I'm saying that right. And it is from JTD Type. Next up, we have Action Grotesque from Commercial Type. This one stood out to me mainly because of who designed it. So let me get a drink. We're more than halfway through these new releases, but way more than halfway through the episode. Let's see, we've got 6, 7 new releases left. This is one of 7. So we're gonna move quick. Action Grotesque. It says Action Grotesque family up there. That's because there are different optical sizes on this as well. But there's actually a larger Action type family. So you can see over here, relateds, that's kind of a weird word. Action Condensed Collection, Action Text Collection, and then we've got this Action Grotesque family. The thing that I mentioned about what stood out to me is that this was designed by Eric van Blokland, who 100% of the time I associate with Latare, and it actually is on the Latare website, but I don't think that their specimens here are really doing it any favors. Yes, this is very practical, and it's showing you that you can read it at all the different sizes, and it's great at showing you some hierarchy. It's showing you what it can do well, but this is a lot to look at on one. Like, this is just a lot to take in. But you can see the optical sizes here. They're squint, small, and large, and that's very nice. Large, obviously, we're going to be able to see this here. And then it looks like we've probably got small and then squint in these very little ones. But let's go ahead and look at this commercial type because I think we can look at it a little bit, how would you say this? A little bit more clearly. I think if you want to see like a true specimen like you would see printed, go ahead and look at this because it does run you through everything that this one can do. This is interesting. Do I have, I have a trial for this one, but it's limited. I might reach out and see. This says no ligatures. Very rarely are ligatures a solution to a real problem. Most of the time they just sit around, ill-proportioned and badly spaced, only to pop up when you least expect or need them. Therefore, AG, Action Grotesque, has no ligatures, but it does have connecting alternates for the lowercase f and t, creating some combinations with the next letter, mostly to give such combinations some breathing room. That's interesting. I have heard Eric and Juiced talk on Mastodon before about how no one should use ligatures, and I was not sure if they were being sarcastic or not, and now it seems that Eric was very much saying ligatures are not a great thing. I love ligatures. He's a master of type design. No one can argue with that, but I love ligatures, and that's not going anywhere. But we can see here there are, I don't know, maybe it is better to look at it on there. Let's look at this PDF real quick. Like I said, we do have to move quick, but this has, here we go. This has 16 static styles, 8 weights plus italics. It is a variable font with a weight axis on it. So I'm only seeing Action Grotesque with the variable weight. I thought that we were seeing different optical sizes on this one. Squint. Let's go ahead and click through these. Squint, small, large. Maybe each one of these has 16 different styles. Yeah, this is something that I'm going to have to dig into. You can see the non-ligature connecting TT here. Can we type on this? No, I don't think we can type on it. Okay. I'm not going to stay here and like be confused for too much longer. We're going to go ahead and move on. It looks like a nice typeface. It looks very legible. The one thing the commercial type website does do well is it gives a good description here. And I linked this in the description as well because there is an article to go along with this. But this one here tells you what it was very specifically designed to do. And you can look at they're going in and looking at how it rasterizes on real screens and stuff like that to try and make this look as good as possible. It says some typefaces look good large, some small. Some were designed to look good. Some were designed to look good large. Some were designed to look good small. Some were designed to be read at large sizes, small sizes. Some were designed for paper. Some were designed for screen. This says Action Grotesque was designed to be read at small sizes on screen. It says it would excel equally on small paper, but that's interesting. So this was made to be small. So maybe these squint and different things aren't actually anything. They're just showing you the different sizes of it on here, even though the whole thing is just one optical size. So it's made to be small, but it looks good large just by way of the unique things that are added to that small size. This is one that I would like to play around with. I'll see if I can get it from commercial type. I do just have the trial license right now, but the combination of the designer and whatever's going on with this one, it really threw me for a loop, but I wanted to mention it even though I'm not fully prepared to talk about it too much. This was Action Grotesque from commercial type by Eric Van Blokland. We've got a few more left here. These ones I think we're going to move a little bit quicker through. Let me close some of these tabs so we don't have too much open up here. I feel like it's a little distracting for me, if not for you. This next one is from Swell type, and it is Solaflare. This is an interesting variable typeface. They don't have trial fonts on here, but we're going to test this out real quick. I'll be able to show you incredibly quickly what this is going to do. See if how big I can make this on here. Variable controls. It's a single weight, and it has sans, flare, and serif. If we look at these variable controls, can I make the font bigger? Yeah, let's make this just as big as possible. Ooh, I like that lowercase j. Let's just write it lowercase. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So variable control controls the flare And you can see as you do this, you get some flares on here. Make it all uppercase. And you can see we get some flared serifs that get added to it, which I think is really neat. We've seen serifs and stuff added to typefaces before. The first thing that comes to mind is Pinocchio from 205 TF. Yeah, 205 TF did Pinocchio, where they did slab serifs that come out. Going from a sans serif to a slab serif is, I won't say easy, but it's easier, I think, than going from a serif to a sans serif to a flared serif, or even a serif. So I feel like this is a better execution, maybe. You know, that's incredibly subjective, but that's my opinion. I think that this is more impressive than turning a sans serif into a slab serif. But it looks really nice. I don't know what the use case would be for that, you know, that variable, but it's nice to have it all in one font, because if you had more weights of this, and this is a big if, then I think you could really do a lot with this in terms of like having one typeface load up on your website, have the serifs on there for your headlines and stuff like that, go down to the sans for your body copy and stuff like that. But the thing to note right now is that this does not work in body copy, in my opinion, because it's too heavy. They're showing it here as if it would work in body copy. I think they're just doing that, you know, for to show it off a little bit, to put it in some kind of specimen, but I don't think that it would actually work. I think these signs right here work much better. I think this is a display typeface because it's too bold for body copy. Even right here, you can see how bold this is. It's not, I would say this is a bold typeface, maybe even semi-bold, but it's pretty bold. It's not like a regular, it's not a book weight. So even though you can tone down some of the character by taking that flare down, I don't think you're turning this into a text typeface by any means. So I would not do this. I would not use it in a magazine for snowboards or skateboards. But as a display typeface, this is pretty neat, and the interpolation is very, very smooth. So I like to see that. You know what? Latinotype did some crazy serifs added onto their bobble typeface. So that's another one that does something similar to this. But this is nice. It's affordably priced. I think it's $50 for the full family. Yeah, $50 for the full family. $25 if you just want a single weight. But I think if you're getting something like this, just double it up and get the full thing for $50. That was Solaflare. Let's go to the top. Solaflare from Swell Type, and it's a very nice variable font. I would love to see it developed even further. Next one here is from Latinotype, and this is Modern Olive. We looked at one typeface today that was loosely inspired by Antique Olive, but this one is a direct inspiration by Latinotype called Modern Olive, and I think they're doing a really good job with it. We've looked at more Antique Olive inspired typefaces in the last year than I ever would have expected. But I think each one of them has been doing their own thing very well. This one here, no italics on it. They're all upright, but it is variable. And you can see if you look at this T and the extra bold over here, it's an image, so we're not going to be able to zoom in on it too much. But you can see that T over here. The typeface is doing some unique things, and it does feel different from Antique Olive. It does feel like an evolution rather than a revival. So let's just scroll through this, get a nice look at it. This right here, you might even be able to see it on the screen right now. This is an image. It's actually got controls on it. For some reason, this is a video. Oh, okay. My video must not be set to autoplay. So you can see the variable font moving right there. I think all of these are probably, no, that's an image. Yeah, it looks nice. It's variable, and it's Modern Olive. I love these. I love. I really appreciate when typefaces include the circled numbers and the filled numbers. Those are great. But when they do something fun like these flower numbers, I'm gonna stop and appreciate it for even a little bit longer. And it perfectly matches an Antique Olive inspired typeface. This is perfect for Modern Olive. Congratulations, Latinotype. Very, very nice. I think that this is a great release, and I do have a trial for this, so I'm definitely going to test this out. Can't promise a deep dive, but I would love to do a deep dive on all of these. There's just not going to be enough time. Look at that R. That's interesting. That's almost like an ITC avant-garde R on there. That's really interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go through and play with this on my own time, even if I don't do a deep dive. And I would suggest that you go do the same, because this is a great looking typeface from Rosetta Type. This is Modern Olive. It looks really, really nice. The trial does say that there are some characters missing, but when I dropped in What Can My Font Do, still had 624 glyphs, 24 open type features. So I think you're getting a pretty near complete trial. I'm not sure what's missing, but yeah, I think you should be able to test this out pretty well with that many glyphs and open type features. So Modern Olive, Rosetta Type, looks very nice. Next up, we have one from Font Fabric. This one is called either Gaka or Guka. There it is right there. Despite me not being able to pronounce the name, clearly this is inspired by Clarendon's, and I think it's really, really cool. I do have a full trial license on this, which means you can go get one too. Just click that trial font button right there. They actually do a really great trial license that even includes web fonts. Do I think that anybody needs web fonts? Probably not for a trial. Like, you could test it out in something else, but it's really great that they do let you test that out, because then you can throw it on a web page, or you can at least throw it in some HTML, CSS, and let it do its, see how it looks in a real web page. The other thing you could do, I don't have it up here, but there's an extension called Font.x, I think. Let me double check. No, Type.x? Yeah, Type.x. Type.x, and this extension right here will let you change the fonts on any web page, most web pages. So that's pretty cool. I do have that installed, but I don't have it activated right now, so I can't show you that. But to pull this back together, Font Fabric does include web fonts in their trials. So if you really wanted to test this out without having to type stuff out or use filler text and stuff like that, download the trial, download or install Font.x as an extension, or Type.x, I apologize, Type.x as an extension, and then just pull it up on some web pages and see how it looks. But just right here, it looks really, really nice. I really appreciate a Clarendon. I love big slab serifs that are more usable and more friendly, and I always am a sucker for this curled leg of the R. Can we see it? We've got the Q, the T, the A. Maybe we don't even see it on here. Oh, there it is on the regular. See that regular right there? Let's open this image in a new tab and see how big this gets. I love that curled leg, iconic for a Clarendon. So go test this one out. I would encourage you to do that. Font Fabric always puts out great typefaces. So Font Fabric, this one is either Gaka or Guka or Guka. Not sure. If I do deep dive, I will learn how to say the name. We just got two more left here. The next one is a future font. This one is pronounced Indal. You can see a pronunciation right here, Indal. Hopefully I'm saying it right. This one is, I don't know. Sometimes I like to point out what makes me stop on a typeface, because there are times when I might not necessarily report on one. This one stopped me in my tracks a little bit because of the description. This is one of the weirdest, not one of the weirdest typefaces I've seen, but one of the weirdest kind of like collective description specimens that I've seen before. I love the magical, metaphysical type specimens, or like old books that you would see on like Internet Archive and stuff like that. So some of these specimens remind me of that, but let's go ahead and read the description real quick. It says, a typeface inspired by carved stones, dusty roads, magic realism, wet tongues, ripe orchards, a laughter from the bottom of everything, narcotic/fecal, burning without flame, night blooming, flowers attracting pollinators, the offering hand, the truth behind you. What? So some of these specimens are going to make sense here in a second, because I'm going to read you the official description that they wrote on there. But first, let's just look at these specimens, because you can see some swashes and stuff that look really neat on here. The typeface itself doesn't necessarily scream like, I I don't know. It doesn't. It's not doing anything at first glance that makes you like stop in your tracks, but it's doing a lot of weird little things that I find really interesting. And some of that is entirely in the specimen. So you can see some of the swashes here on the lowercase n and the lowercase r, which I think are neat. This reversed indent here, I forget what this is called, maybe a hanging indent or something like that, where you you outdent, you outdent that first paragraph or the first line on a paragraph. It's something you see in typography books. It's not something you see very often in real life. They're combining that with the centered text. They're combining that with the text spanning all the way across the top there. There's just some weird choices here that really do make you stop and look at it. But when you see something like this with the black and white, it's a nice, serif typeface. It's not doing anything that's going to blow your mind, but the specimens still make you stop and wonder what the hell is going on here. And then you combine that with the description here, and you find out, if you didn't already know this, I did not know this, indol is a chemical compound found in jasmine, roses, and many flowers, but also concentrated, but no pun intended, but also concentrated in the human groin, and that naturally occurs in feces. At very low concentrations, it has a carnal, flowery smell and pleasant radiation. If concentrated, is extremely diffusive and powerful odor, almost tarry, repulsive, and choking. I don't know what tarry means. But yeah, there's so much going on here. But I'm really excited to see this one develop. So it is a future font, so we're going to see this one develop over time. We're going to see this expanded. It is positioning itself to be a workhorse typeface, so I would love to see how that plays out. You can see up here, indol aims to be a workhorse text typeface and extend to optical sizes with indol display and indol sans. So we're going to see a sans version of this. We're going to just see a display version of this. I'm not sure if the display is going to be a high contrast display or if it's just going to be, tighter spacing and stuff like that. So it'd be something to look forward to. But this typeface is already doing a lot. And the thing that I think is most interesting is everything surrounding the typeface. Clearly the inspiration is very specific here. Indol, hope I'm saying it right. Indol, all of these specimens, they're just so, I don't know. It's almost like the anti-design, anti-typography, but not really. It's just doing some weird stuff that I'm here for. I appreciate it. So shout out to Caterina Santullo. I'm not sure if it's Santullo or Santullo. Once again, I will learn if we do. It's from The Hague. Not sure. She's got 4 different ones on here from Future Fonts, but this is the first one that I've come across. So check it out. The price will go up as the font expands. So if this is something you're remotely interested in, I think the $45 is going to be a good investment because this seems like it's going to turn into a full workhorse typeface. And I think in a few years when this is entirely finished, I think that you'll be very happy that you did, if this is something that you like right now. Right now, the schedule looks like summer 2026. Italics will be added, so that should be coming up in just a few months. Right now, it looks pretty interesting, though. Definitely the weirdest one from today, but weird in the best possible way. Our last typeface today is coming from type.today. I've got 2 links in the description for this one as well, because like several typefaces we looked at today, it does have an article to accompany it, but we're just going to go ahead and look at this on here. I think we're just going to go ahead and look at it. We'll scroll through this real quick. We'll scroll through the article first, and then we'll go to, and then I can show you the actual variable. So this, I think, is called flux type. I could be wrong. Maybe it's flux type, but I'm going to call it flux type and then correct myself in the comments if it's wrong. So this is coming from type.today. This is flux type. It says a typeface that exists at the intersection of Humanist Sans and Serifless Roman and features 3 variable axes and 84 static styles. That should give you the inclination, the hint that this is going to be a very complex typeface. Let's go ahead and scroll down. You can start to see some of it right here. Caption petite all the way up to display grande. you can see those look very, very different. And if we look at this matrix right here, we can see that from top left to bottom right looks very, very different. This is a variable font. We can go from one to the other. And when you do, man, it doesn't even feel like the same typeface. It's crazy. I love that this is possible now. Let's go ahead and let's go test it out. So this does have solid language support on it as well. You can see we're seeing some Cyrillic right here already. It is going to be priced accordingly. So this has a price tag for desktop of $1,380. It says 0 styles, but as we saw before, it has, what did we say? 84 styles. So we're looking at 84 styles, but this is variable, so you can do everything to everything. Let's go ahead and get some Latin on here because I don't read Cyrillic. Subscribe to objectives. And then let's make this as big as possible without breaking the line. Let's put it on 2 lines. That's fine. Let's get 3 lines on YouTube. Just to get this as big as possible. There we go. Good. Okay. The weight. You can get hairline thin on this. It's probably not quite hairline, but that's damn near hairline. You can get really, really thin on this, and it interpolates very smoothly, very nicely. Not a super, super, super heavy weight, but you can get pretty bold there. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but it's pretty bold. The more interesting sliders, though, are the X height and the contrast. So we got a hint of that contrast before. Let me just go ahead and show you that now. We'll spoil it. Look at that. That is crazy. If you were to go from this to this, those do not feel like the same typeface. That's crazy. Okay. And then you've got the X height on top of this. So you can see, if you look at the B, look at the lowercase t, you can see the ascenders stay exactly where they are, but that X height just grows. Look at the eyes. That's interesting. The eyes, since that X height is growing, the tittle has to get squished. They don't push it up. They just keep it exactly where it is. That's actually probably a really great design choice because you're not going to mess up your line spacing or anything by pushing that tittle up higher than it should be. So squishing it is an interesting choice, but it makes sense. And we can do the same with this contrast. Did you see how much that changed? Look at this. So we're at the heaviest weight here, whatever this super heavy weight is. But look at this when we change the contrast. Those do not look like, I cannot, it kind of breaks my brain. Even after all this time of looking at typefaces, this breaks my brain that this is the same font, that this is one font right now. That's crazy. Let's look at this high contrast at a low weight. High contrast, low weight isn't my favorite thing, but it's fine. I don't think you would ever actually use this. I think when you got to that lightweight, you'd probably go to the lower contrast. The great thing that we haven't even touched on yet is that, let's go to like a mid-weight here. X height, let's just leave it small because it's already pretty big. But you can go these in-between contrasts. So I don't know that you want to. I don't know if it's going to be the most elegant thing, but if you don't want a super high contrast like this, you could go from really, really high contrast, very modern, very display. You could pull that down to something in the middle here, pull your contrast down in the middle, and you're getting a little bit of flaring. You're getting a little bit of contrast, flaring in the T there, not necessarily in the serifs. But you're getting a little bit of contrast added, and that looks nice right there. But then you could also use this for your captions or something. Yeah, I think this one typeface, if it had italics, it doesn't have italics. If it had italics, you could use this one single typeface for everything, like really, really everything. It's already incredibly powerful, and there are ways to get around not having italics, but I never try to turn a typeface into a workhorse unless it has italics. That's just me. I like to have them. I need to have them. It's not even a like to have. It's a deal breaker for me. But as a typeface in general, if you don't need italics for whatever reason, this one is doing a ton, and you could really get away with a lot with this, especially if you were only going to be using it for display stuff. If you're only going to be using it for like editorial headlines and things like that, you could throw this in your headline like this with the high contrast, high weight, high X height, and then pull it back, not pull back the weight, pull it back, pull back your contrast, do your subhead and stuff like that, and then use a serif typeface, you know, a traditional book typeface for your body copy. I think that'd be a great combo. So I think this could do a lot of work for you, and you could do a lot of different editorial headlines and stuff with this one. Thinking out loud here, obviously. You could do a lot of different editorial headlines and things like that with this one font, and make everything feel cohesive throughout an entire publication or magazine or whatever it is, website, using just this one font. Like, you could kind of let people do their own thing and be like, hey, like, you can use whatever you want, or you could set certain departments to certain very specific configurations. But I think that'd be great. One font, set all of your headlines and stuff in this, all of your subheads. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. That's actually the last one. Gosh, I can't believe we got through this whole thing. I apologize for being gone for so long. I don't think that I've ever been gone for 3 weeks at a time. Maybe when my daughter was born, but that was before I started really going live and we really got things going. But yeah, we took Christmas break, I guess. I had a couple of weeks off, but I don't ever see myself going so long. You say that now, but life happens. I really didn't plan on being gone for so long. I thought I'd be gone for 10 days. We had the internet planned to be set up, but like I said, I had to have fiber literally laid. That fiber ran to this apartment building because it did not exist. And you can get high-speed internet, but I need high-speed upload. I need it to go up. Most people don't care because they're watching Netflix or whatever. Anyway, that's why I was gone. Entirely a technical internet issue. But yeah, we'll be back to the regularly scheduled program next Friday. I've got some other stuff planned. I think we are going to go back to weekly episodes of Typography News, but I have a lot of other stuff planned. Already have my next book read. Already have some special coverage coming, like I said, from for the Designers Foundry. I think we're going to have to dive into fonts.xyz. There is a lot going on, and yeah, I'm really excited to talk about all this typography stuff. It feels so good to be back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you for being here. I was Curtis Simpson, and this was Typography News number 55. I will see you guys. I'll see you guys next Friday for Typography News number 56.